Hello, hello. All right, we got some people coming in. Sam, what's up? Got some LCC folks in here. Josh Cashman is in the building. So this is I think it's my first ever live on this account. First live of 2022. I'll let you guys come in here some more. Oh, Lainey and Chris Mogg are in the house as well. Shout out Josh Cashman. He just bought a Blackmagic 6K Pro. Great camera. Can't wait to see how you put that to use. So we'll let just a few more people get in here and then we'll go ahead and get started. Eric, thank you for sending in your question. Appreciate that. I got a lot of good questions in today, so we'll start to answer with that. One thing before we get started, I have to recommend this book I've been reading, If You're Creative, Ride of a Lifetime, Bob Iger. I've almost finished it in a week. If you haven't checked it out yet, I would very much recommend it for some New Year reading. It has a great combination of business along with creative. Really simple read, and so if you follow Disney over the years, it's really behind the scenes into how they grew into the company they are today. So let's go ahead and get started. So I get a lot of questions from you guys on Instagram, and frankly, my day job keeps me pretty busy, and I always don't have the time or resources to respond back to you guys. And so as the 2021 was ending, I was thinking about 2022, was thinking about how I can connect with you all and the followers more, and had this idea of office hours. And if you've been to school or to college, that professors have a set of time during the week where people can just stop by, ask questions, connect. And so here we are, Friday, January 14th, first episode of Office Hours. I got a lot of questions from you guys, so I'm going to pull those up now. I do have my computer right here, so if I might have to look something up, or I'm going to look at the question, and we'll go ahead and get started. So the first one comes from Sam Culver. He says, what's your favorite lens combo, and do you shoot all your photos in RAW? And all right, great question to start with. A couple things. Yes, I shoot all my photos in RAW. I also shoot JPEG as well as a backup. You never know what's going to happen with when you're on the field, or just wherever you're shooting, if there's a file corrupt. And so having the camera set to RAW plus the JPEG makes it a lot easier. One, if you need to send files off fast, I generally always will send the JPEG version off, and then from there I will later take the RAW photo and edit it in Lightroom and get that really dialed in. But usually if I'm on the go, I'm using JPEGs, and then I use those for storage as well. But Camera Raw is unbeat. RAW photos, whatever you shoot on, Canon, Nikon, the latitude and just the ability to edit in post-production is just incredible what RAW photos on cameras can do. So I would highly recommend shooting in RAW. And then lens combo on the photo side, I was really into the Canon 1DX Mark III this year for sports. It's, in my opinion, the flagship camera, the speed that it shoots at, the accuracy of the autofocus, and then the file sizes are not enormously huge. And so I love that camera. Pairing it with a 70-200 is fantastic if you're starting out, or if you're really in the big game, using a 400 or 600 with that camera, you will get some incredible photos. And so I know there's a lot of people that use the Nikon staples. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but usually the most expensive one generally is the highest performing one. And we can talk a little bit more about how do you get the match of your performance of your camera, but also staying within your budget. So if if you have any questions, I did have a bunch of pre-questions below, but make sure you hit there in the comment. I'm going to wave back to you guys a little bit. Appreciate you all tuning in. All right, we'll do one from here that just is live. It's from Gallagher Davis 37. I want to get into photography. I'm only a freshman, but I want to pursue it as a career. Any tips? Well, great news is, I assume you're probably a freshman in college or high school, I'm not sure. But the great part for you is that time is on your side. You've got a lot of time to figure things out. You're not necessarily in a career right away where you're looking to produce results and revenue. And so I would really just take that time to learn the basics of photography and how to use a camera. For me, that's where it started. I was a digital arts major in college, digital media communications. And so I really started with really the technical side of things. And then as I've grown in my career, really started to dive more into the business aspect, branding, content, and all that. The technical side changes a lot. It's changed so much since college. I was reading an article today, how the DSLR is effectively dead, and the Canon 5D Mark II was what I learned on. And so the technology changes, but the fundamentals don't. And so I would really take your time to figure out the technical side of photography, and then also business side. You're in school, so make sure you take your business classes. That's one thing I think I probably should have done a better job at in school. Was I'd focus heavily on the creative, but I could have probably been a little bit more proactive about learning the business side of things as well, because depending on what you're doing, but you also have a business to run if you're a full-time freelance photographer. Let's see if we got any more coming in here. All right, we'll do another preloaded question, and we can go with this from that. This is from AMF Photos 2020. What would you recommend doing to get into sports photography? A couple things. I would recommend that you just really start shooting sports, no matter what it is. If it's your kid's football game, high school football game, high school sports, any of that, to really get your reps down. I'm crazy, fortunately lucky that the first ever sporting event I photographed was an NFL game. It was the Hall of Fame game in 2015. And I really had no reps or practice. I tried to do as much research as I could beforehand. But really there's just nothing like being down on the field and getting those live reps. So I think the way that you can really get started is just by starting. You can, like I said, go to your high school, local high school, college, and then because you do that as well, you also build out your portfolio. And so, yes, maybe it's not an official professional sports portfolio, but you can start taking those to different media outlets to show that you have, in fact, shot sports before. And I'm going to actually read a quote I wanted to talk about real quick. It's from James Clear. I saw the other day. It's from the book Atomic Habits, which you haven't read, is also fantastic. And this is kind of what pushed me to start this live today. And it says, are you willing to be uncomfortable for 5 minutes? Exercising is easier once you started the working out. Conversation is easier once you're already talking. Writing is easier once you're in the middle of it. But many rewards in life will elude you if you're not willing to be a little bit uncomfortable first. And so I would say that's another reason I wanted to start this live today, to be a little bit uncomfortable, put myself out there. But also for you, if you're starting into sports photography, for sports media, that's it. Hone in on the word start. And from there, you never know where your momentum will take you in your career. I think I had a couple written questions in here. Let's see. This is from Young Master All 5. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Does it feel intimidating when starting up? For sure. I think, yeah, it is definitely intimidating, especially if you're starting on the professional level. I remember when I first got down on the sidelines, the play, everything was just so fast. The guys were so big. It definitely was intimidating. And then on top of that, things were a lot different than they are now, where I was the youngest one on the sidelines for a long time. We've generally started to see that shift over the last couple of years, which is really exciting because of all the opportunities that's out there now for young creatives. But yeah, it's definitely intimidating. And I would just say that you're probably more in your head than you think versus like what other people are thinking about you. But I would say, and also it's maybe a good thing that it's a little intimidating because you know you're in the right place. And if it's not intimidating, the reward, the challenge of it all is not going to be worth it. And so I would say, if you are feeling intimidated going to an event for the first time, really try to fight that and push through and gradually become more and more comfortable in those settings. All right, got some good questions coming in. Hans Photography says, what is your game day workflow? Whew, that's a long one. I do have a couple things on my YouTube channel. If you haven't checked that out, I've tried to vlog each and every game this year, kind of going through my workflow. But I can give kind of a short recap of what that experience is like. And so I'm super fortunate to be part of the NFL Lcc program now. And so I get to partner with the league and with the teams to shoot and create content, both photo and video, that I then share with the respective teams and the leagues. And then us at West to East and Russ are allowed to use that content on his socials as well. So it's a really awesome, amazing program. We're obviously pretty much done for this year, but make sure you check that out as they have postings in each and every NFL city. But with that, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And so generally, I'm there 4 hours before kickoff, quite a bit of time. We like getting there early to make sure that, all your gear's set, the shot list is ready. It's nice to be fully prepped and ready versus rushing around and trying to get your camera together while on top of trying to create content. And so that's kind of the general workflow. I'm there 4 hours early, and then pretty much the routine is down. And so usually players' arrivals are around 3 hours before they hit the field. Around then, 2 hours before is when it really starts to pick up. The guys put the pads on and come out. Same with about 1 hour before. And then from there, I have like a nice routine of just knowing when those big moments are going to happen. And then from there, I'm able to take the card off the camera, go on into the computer and send it off to the teams. And so that's kind of like a very condensed version of what my game day workflow is. I might have to do a longer YouTube video of that because I could go on very long. This is from Pug the Pug. How was shooting with the Red and the Cine lens? It was amazing. If you haven't seen that on my YouTube channel as well, I rented an anamorphic lens for the last home game and put it on my Red, and it was incredible with the flares and the footage. I hadn't really seen that before in the NFL space, and so I wanted to bring something different to it, and I was very pleased with the results that I got from it. It was interesting because I was just going to do it pregame. It was raining pretty good, and then at the end it started to clear up, and I was like, you know what, I want to do it one more time. And so I brought it back out, and the results, especially because at nighttime and the flares from the light, was just like incredible. Let's see here. Joey Hash Films, any tips on how to get into the NFL Lcc program? I would just say, have your portfolio, have it ready. Make sure you look on the NFL website, the career section. They generally, I think over the summer, maybe even to the spring, will have listings on what cities have positions available for it. And just so you know, it is like a part-time gig. It's not anything full-time by any means. It's pretty much just on Sundays, but make sure you take a look out for that. Austin Bernard 97, what's your favorite stadium besides Lumen to shoot at? That's a great question. I've been to almost all the NFL stadiums. I just have a couple left. I think about 3. I would say, I don't know if I have a particular favorite, but I definitely love all the ones that are in warm weather and I don't have to worry about rain or keeping my gear dry or the snow and all that. But with that, Lambeau is pretty freaking cool. I've done some really cool games there, but the atmosphere and the experience, it's unlike any other NFL city. Best camera for under $1,000. Let me see. Someone else. Where's that other question that they sent in preloaded? Someone had asked about the Canon 80D. I'm not sure where it was. Sorry if I missed your name, but yeah, someone did ask about the Canon 80D. Let me see how much that is real quick. So, side note, my very first camera was the Canon 70D. Which they're up to 80 now. I think this is a little over $1,000. But yes, I would recommend the Canon 80D. I think it's about $1,500 with the kit lens, maybe a little bit more. But another camera I use if you're trying to stay under $1,000 is the Canon M6 Mark II. I actually have a YouTube video on that on my channel where I shot a playoff game, just strictly the M6 Mark II, and that with the lens combo is a little under $1,000. All right, let's see what these questions here. There we go. What preset do you use to process your photos? So that's another one that I've honed in over the years. You can look at my website, danielmogg.com/store. I have some presets loaded on there, and then you can also go into my YouTube channel. I actually have a whole tutorial on how I edit my photos, the whole process from archiving, editing, and then how to use those presets on your photos. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's see. Oh, this is one I was thinking about earlier that someone asked me. So, biggest failure or mistake you're glad you learned from. So this one I was thinking about, it was a while back. I was actually in college and I had made kind of the finals to this pretty prestigious internship in New York City. And I had done some pretty great internships before at the Golf Channel. I had interned at the Cannes Film Festival, and I went in there a little bit too cocky, and I really just didn't prepare at all for the interview, and I totally bombed and taped it. And so I was pretty upset about that. I had always wanted to live in New York and do some sort of internship like that. And from there, I kind of vowed I'll never be unprepared for an interview or any type of that setting. And I would say to those of you who are graduating college or you're looking for jobs, that whole process is a job in itself. From making sure your resume is presentable, your LinkedIn's up to date, your online portfolio, make sure that you can speak, making sure that you can speak and articulate, about yourself, your work, and your portfolio is not going to be just enough. So as much time as you spend into photography and the skills and creating things, I would also lean into that as well, to how you market yourself, how you present yourself, and then what your resume looks like. This is from Fabio. He says, what's your biggest challenge when you shoot an NFL game? That's a good one as well. Biggest challenge, it's a couple things. I would say that one, physically, the gear honestly gets physically can be a little taxing. I actually have to do a little bit of not therapy, but I need to do some body work afterwards. I'm usually pretty sore afterward. That's a real thing for me. Other people are different, but I would say on the shooting side, I would say that you really the little amount of control you have of what happens on the field. And so you could be the greatest photographer in the world, but if the play doesn't come to your side of the field, there's not much you can really do about it. And so I think with that, the biggest challenge is always staying ready, being focused, understanding football or the game, the sport that you're covering, so that you're ready when the action comes towards you. All right, I'll give a wave back to some of you guys. I really appreciate you guys tuning in so far. What do you think? This is my first one. How are we doing? Is there anything else you want to hear from? Would you guys be interested in this once a week? Great question from Jason. What is a way to speed up the process when video editing? Great question. Couple things. So I started shooting, I don't know what camera you have, but the Blackmagic, actually, it shoots ProRes. As much as I love B-Raw, for quick turnarounds when you're trying to speed things up, I've been shooting just straight ProRes on that camera, and the editing makes it so much easier for as far as speed. And then there's a couple things that you can do. You can probably just look it up on YouTube. I don't know, I assume you're probably in Premiere Pro, not sure, but there's just different tricks and tips that you can use to speed up your editing workflow, clearing your caches, making sure maybe your browser's not open, different things like that. Let's see here. Someone just asked about, where is it? Super Happy Giant Robot. I'm tempted to switch from the C200 to Sony. Do you think that would be a good idea? I guess the question I come down to is that, what's your budget? Where are you at with your capital? If you already own the camera, I don't see a huge need into switching. I almost made the jump to Sony a couple years ago, but I'm a pretty dedicated Canon guy, and actually I really love the C200. I'm not sure what your projects are for, but if it's just web-based stuff, honestly, if you have everything invested in Canon already, I would just say to use the camera, keep the camera, and maybe invest it elsewhere, either in some better glass or maybe even a second camera body. Let's see what other preloaded questions we have here. Okay, this one's pretty great. Love to know next steps for me that are pertinent to being a visual storyteller. So this one, that's a pretty long loaded question as well. And I would say what really helped me becoming a better storyteller was the reps and just doing it over and over and over again. The beautiful part about working in football is that it's a week-to-week business. And so trying to tell stories in containment of a week, because after that week, a new story is going to be flipped over. And so I got really lucky starting at NBC Sports, where the turnover was really fast. And so out of necessity, I had to be really good at identifying the story, creating the story arc, and then having a resolve ending, because things are so fast. So I would say that's definitely a loaded question we should talk more about in an upcoming Office Hours episode. But the short of it would be just be really good at telling a story in a short amount of time. I think you see a lot of videos that maybe they're hodgepodge together that's really beautifully shot or whatnot, but there's no consistent theme or story in between it. And so really training yourself to tell a story in a short amount of time will really help enhance those skills. All right. This one's from my guy, Josh Cashman. This is a good one. What's your favorite thing to shoot outside of sports? That's a great question. I would say that I'm wanting to dive a little bit more into the narrative film space. That's, a place I've always wanted to go and be in since I was a kid. Me and my friends made movies in our backyard. And so that's kind of the space I want to be more in. And then kind of outside of day-to-day where I'm at right now, I do enjoy shooting concerts, music festivals. I'm a big music guy and have a lot of respect for what music artists do. And so the few shows that I've been able to do, it's just always a fun experience. AMF Photos 2020, would you be willing to give critiques or offer advice or photos if we sent them to you? Yes, this is actually something else I was thinking about that could potentially be used in this office hours, was kind of doing this first one to test the waters and see how it goes, but some sort of portfolio critique or just connecting with different folks to just offer advice on the work they're giving. I don't know that it'll be great advice, but hopefully it can be helpful. And so stay tuned in the coming weeks. I'll think about how we can practically do that. All right, we got time for probably a couple more questions. We're coming up on a half hour. I want to make sure you guys are back into your day. Oh, this is a great one as well. How did you get hired? This is a pretty long story. You can actually go on my YouTube channel as well, where I kind of have the full story of how I got to West to East and working with Russell Wilson. It's really a pinch me. I can't even really explain how it happened, because I'll even go back. So my family is from the Seattle area, so I grew up a huge Seattle sports fan, was a huge Seahawks fan, a huge Russ fan, and so the way that we actually met was through Sunday Night Football. I was working on Sunday Night Football for about 3 seasons. We met at our Carrie Underwood open shoot, which was just so fun, and we kind of built a relationship from there. And then that season was when the Seahawks were just rolling through and on Sunday Night Football all the time. So we actually had a lot of Seahawks game that season, and Russ and I would see each other. And then right after that season, he reached out and gave me a call and pitched his whole vision for starting a production company or starting the production division of his brand management company. And I've been with him since 2017 now. And it's 2022. I can't believe how fast time has gone by. And so, when life gets busy and you're in the day-to-day, in the weeds, doing your projects, doing different things. And so when I, pause and take a step back to really think and dwell on future-proofs yourself to be able to do all things. And so I started as video, I crossed over into photography, and then I can now do both. So I would recommend being able to do both. And then let's see, last ones. Do NFL teams care if you can edit on Final Cut or Premiere Pro? I'm not entirely sure. Majority of the people I know use the Adobe suite, and so I feel like that's kind of the industry standard. But I know that Final Cut is also, that's what I learned on originally, was Final Cut 7. I haven't used it for a long time, but I would probably, you can make yourself more valuable by knowing the Adobe suite, and Final Cut. I think it could just be another additional piece that you can add to your skills. So we'll wrap up with that. Sorry for the tech issues there at the end. We were doing so well. But appreciate you guys tuning in. And like I said, was a little bit nervous to do this, but excited for the response. And hopefully today was helpful. I really want to be able to kind of give back and help you guys have more of that two-way street communication in 2022. And so we're starting here with Office Hours, episode 1. Thank you guys for tuning in, asking your questions. You can also check out my YouTube channel. Just look up Daniel Mogg in YouTube. I have a lot of other deep dives into some of the topics that you asked about. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you check it out. And we'll see you guys next Friday.